Whether you really voted for McCarthy?
Yes, the O stands for Oran, O-R-A-N. I have no idea how that thing. I did vote for McCarthy every time I had a chance to do so. Very often. Well, first of all, thanks to all of you for coming to this event. I wasn't quite prepared for how many people were interested in celebrating my departure. But it's really wonderful to get a chance to visit some with the large number of people that I've had the opportunity to work with over the years at the NIH and some before that. Thanks especially to Jay and Carl and Ed and Cliff and Carla for your warm remarks. It is exactly correct that Jay is my oldest statistician friend, and we have remained close for a very long time and continue to keep in touch, Jay and Linda, of course. Without Linda, we're history. I'm appreciative of many things that I want to try to express now. The first and most important is the opportunity that I've had to work on very important problems. There is no substitute for being involved in your career work on something which has such high stakes as this. And I hope everyone appreciates that who's here. It keeps us all going, I think. It's wonderful to be able to reach milestones and get small steps forward, but there's just nothing like it to be engaged in such important work. The collaborations, I think, with the other people is what I will try to keep in my mind and thoughts as I leave. The collaborations, the opportunities to work together with so many different people from different parts of NIH and from outside of NIH. What comes to mind are the people I've worked with on protocol reviews for the Division of AIDS. Of course, more recently, the IRB work with not only the members of the IRB, some of whom were able to come today, past and present members, but also the terrific staff for the IRB. One of the things that has been just critical, I think, to my level of job satisfaction is the opportunity to work with staff up and down the command chain of command who are dedicated to their work and are efficient and pleasant to work with, and well organized and so forth. So I'm especially grateful for that opportunity. I have had the chance from time to time to work on some initiatives outside of the Institute, the Clinical and Translational Science Awards Institute, an NIH-wide initiative. Paul Joachim from NIDA is heavily involved in that, has been from when I became involved in it. That's the sort of thing that's given me an opportunity to get to know people better from other parts of the NIH. Again, it's the collaboration. One important thing I think that I want to mention is got kind of a funky name, manpower development. Biostatisticians have always had the idea that they were a little underappreciated and undersupported, and so from time to time we've had the opportunity to try and do something about that from within the NIH. We managed to get an initiative through a few years ago to add training grants to the NIH extramural portfolio to provide new support for graduate training in biostatistics and related areas. I couldn't be happier that that's now sort of had a spin-off. We realized a few years ago that the problem exists not only in this country but throughout the world, and especially in the developing world. And so some of us began talking about what might be done to to improve the state of affairs, to increase research capacity, particularly in biostatistics. And I couldn't be happier that my colleague Mesrat Gezmu has joined me in a lot of that work and will carry on and to develop in the area. There's an effort underway in sub-Saharan Africa to try and find a way to train more statisticians from those countries who can stay there and join the research teams. It's critically important. Which reminds me of one of the nicest things about working here is the opportunity to interact with the people from so many other countries and occasionally get to visit. And I started trying to just see if I could count up the number of different countries where I've had the opportunity to work directly with people, maybe on a short-term thing or as a member of a DSMB or an investigator for a study that was being done in sub-Saharan Africa or something like that. And that's really a thrill from an old Texas boy that never imagined getting a chance to do that kind of thing. I think I was hoping that the other Dennis Dixon was going to be able to come here. He won. He's now going to have sole custody of Dennis Dixon and email system. So congratulations to him. So, but of course, the highlight, the thing that has absorbed my attention at many levels has been the work with data and safety monitoring boards. And not only working with the individual data and safety monitoring boards, but getting to interact with the investigators who bring their studies to the data and safety monitoring boards, and to interact with other people around the NIH to see what we could do about bringing more coherence and uniformity to the practices related to the DSMBs. And of course, I didn't initiate any of that. That's Mary Folks and Monsignor Rita and others that were, Susan Ellenberg before me and others from other institutes. But it's been a great challenge to get to work on NIH-wide matters of that type. So in terms of just a few reflections, I have to comment on the branch. There were biostatisticians here before I showed up, and we worked pretty hard and got a lot of satisfaction out of the work we were doing. But then when Cliff realized that something more was needed at the institute level, not just within the Division of AIDS, and a little bit in DMID and elsewhere. Brad Bill Blackburn was here from DMID. But everything changed. Everything changed. Dean came. I didn't much know Dean. I'd met him a few times. I had high regard for him. I knew he was an impressive statistician with academic inclinations and very highly regarded by his colleagues. But he has just revolutionized biostatistics in the NIAID. The group now is 4 times the size it was when he came. The people that he has recruited in here just knock my socks off, even the rebels. They're eager and bright and anxious to collaborate with investigators, and they work hard and do very good work. And I think Dean is responsible for the direction that things have gone. And I was just happy to be a bystander, more or less, and to get to know all of the people that have come. I've realized in the last few years that the term opportunistic is a good term. I mean, if you work at HIV/AIDS, it's an old term. It's been all about opportunistic infections. But I think my career has been opportunistic. I didn't have any idea when I first met Jay that I was going to end up working in clinical research. I didn't have any idea that Ed Gein would offer me a position at MD Anderson, working with a cancer cooperative group. But it seemed like a good idea at the time, so I went for it. And then when I had the opportunity some years later to come to NIH, again, I had no long-standing ambition to work at the NIH. I didn't know from AIDS research. This is in the early 90s. But the opportunity presented itself, and I took it. I would encourage all of you to be open to that sort of opportunism. When you get a chance to do something that seems exciting, look for reasons to do it, and not to decline to do it. And one final thought is I have learned here, I probably have had to learn this lesson repeatedly, but I've learned here that there's plenty of satisfaction in your job, even if you don't right away get to the perfect solution for something. There's no perfect solution. You're only going to make incremental steps, but they're important incremental steps. And they're worth making, and it's no good worrying that you didn't get all the way to the goal line along the way. Appreciate what you've been able to achieve, and keep plugging away. And we're in no danger of running out of things to work on. So thank you again.